if you were to create a totally separate trust, okay, not as part of your regular trust, but create this totally separate trust, you don't have to put anything in it right now. Your general estate plan could say, look, when we die, then take an amount of money and put it into this trust. Okay, if we're really going to create this totally separate trust. Now, why would you create this separate trust? Let's talk about that. Why would you create a separate trust rather than simply making this a provision in your existing trust? Okay, well, it gets to that privacy issue more than anything else. All right? If we have this regular trust over here, and we start saying, who is it that's going to be able to know how much was in here? Okay, the who's going to be that's going to know how much is in this regular trust over here? Obviously the trustee, the person that you've named to take charge of that. But the beneficiaries who are going to be getting stuff from that trust also have the right to know what's in this trust. Okay? Well, if you're sitting there saying, here's what I'm going to do, take the client who looks and says, here's what I want to do. I want to, maybe I've got some kids, and my kids are going to be the beneficiary of my trust, and I know my kids aren't going to be happy about what I've done with my pet, but I also want my pet to be cared for. I might not want my kids to know how much is in this pet trust. Right? I might not want them to know that at all. Well, if I do it as part of this trust here, they're going to know it. If I do it as a totally separate trust, they won't know it unless someone has spilled the beans, okay? So, having the totally separate trust comes into more of those family dynamics where we're concerned about who's going to be upset about what we've done, and we're trying to use that privacy factor to keep them from running to a judge and saying, Judge, there's way too much money that was put over there, we should get what's left now, and we shouldn't have to wait, because oftentimes with clients who have kids, they'll set aside something for their pets, and then when the pets pass away, it goes to the kids. Well, if the kids aren't happy that you did that with the pets, then they've got kind of incentive to run into a judge, trying to get a judge to have less money in there rather than more money in there, because it's more money into their pocket. And so that normally is the situation where I would see someone wanting to do a standalone trust. It's that extra privacy. If you don't have that as an issue, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to spend money on this whole standalone thing when you can do as part of your overall estate plan. Because, again, planning for our pets is just one piece of what we overall do. Obviously, that's the focus of what we're talking about. But we also need to look at what's going to happen with our homes and our investments and our cars and all those kinds of things, and how's all that stuff going to happen. Okay? Go ahead.
If you as an estate planning attorney, do you tend to try to steer people toward that separate trust though? Because knowing that people get funding over money,
well,
if you don't have those dynamics, they will.
Yeah. Here's the way I look at it. Okay, my job as the estate planning attorney is trying to figure out what do you want to do. Okay, first and foremost. Interesting. I have clients who come in and say, Tom, what should I do? I say, well, no. It's not my job to tell you what you should do. If you want me to tell you what you should do, you give it all to me. Okay, but it's not my job to tell you what to do. But it's my job to find out what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? And then steer you in a direction that gets you there. So if in that conversation you're sitting there saying to me, I don't have any children, I don't have a spouse, I don't have any siblings, I don't really have any money, I want to set this all up for my pet. That's a whole different story than if you're saying to me, I've got kids, etc., or siblings, and then I'm going to be saying to you, well, how do they feel about your pet? So they're going to really be ticked off if they find out, well, yeah, then we need to direct ourselves into why do we do a separate trust, is to protect the privacy so that those kids won't make a mess of everything. On the other hand, if you say, oh, my kids, we've talked about this and they're perfectly fine with it, and you're comfortable with that, I mean, I'm not here to try and create more work than there is work to be done for you. Okay, does that make sense? So, and it's just like anything, whether it's your pets or anything else, that's part of the conversation that you have with clients about what are you trying to accomplish here. And it's somewhat, if you have children and you're going to have your pet be a pet trust, it's almost to some children like disinheriting part of them. You know, at the same time, well, we're not getting something now, okay, that we think we should have, and how are they going to handle it?